Hi everyone, welcome to week 6 of our competitive marketing strategies class. This is chapter 10, and this has to do with developing long-term customer relationships with customer relationship management. So we're going to talk about a lot of different details, hopefully not too long. The chapter is very, very long, so I didn't include everything in the slides and in the talk that I'm going to give today. But the issue is that we've come pretty much full circle in this class in terms of how marketing teams should put together the right marketing strategy. One of the issues that can happen is that your team may not have the same sort of intelligence abilities to collect data in the field or through sales reps or through actual interviews with customers. So we're going to talk about ways to, of course, gather and collect data that have to do with either the software that the organization uses or I guess more from a holistic point of view of data collection that companies frequently do today. So there's not necessarily a perfect right strategy to deal with customer relations, but now I think what's happening in organizations is they're not necessarily looking to attract a large number of transactions, although of course that's important. But what they really need to do is to minimize losing customers and maximize long-term relationships. So customer relationship management has to do with looking at customers' needs, looking at a lot of different things, and trying to develop an understanding of the customers' both individual and or maybe groups of customers' wants and habits. So customer relationship management is a shift per se from maybe traditional or old-fashioned marketing approaches. And it's a way to really look at customers and find a way to increase in their eyes the value of using the product, the value of being associated with a company. So there's lots of different stakeholders that are involved. Of course, it's going to be the users, the people in the marketplace within the industry. It's going to be how the employees affect this process and this whole relationship development. It's the way that the interrelated different suppliers and outside stakeholders or inside stakeholders are part of this process. And it also includes things like media, public relations, and accounting for different factors that may not necessarily be in a traditional marketing plan. But for customer relationship management, specifically when you're using software, there's so many different ways that companies attract customers, whether it's from business to business, business to consumer, etc. So there's a way to incorporate patterns, data, and looking at what happens during the process of an experience of an organization with a customer, typically used more so with an actual physical product, but not necessarily all the time. So it's a strategy, it's a way to shift a mindset for an organization rather than just acquiring users and customers, but actually maintaining them over time and developing something that's personalized. But it's done through software. So the CRM strategy is really to understand, anticipate, and manage all the different needs that you might have with a client in order to keep them as a client. But it shifts from the mindset of really mass marketing that we've been talking about all term long to more customized marketing, or maybe more like a one-on-one marketing relationship. It's a shift from a sales focus, a routine sales focus, to more of a technology integration of every aspect of the sale. It's a shift from individual transactions to something that's a continuous relationship. And so if you think about Apple stores and what's happened with Apple, and of course they're one of the largest revenue generating organizations out there, they give everyone an Apple ID. So basically they start collecting data on you with the Apple products that you purchase. And if you think about going into one of the Apple stores, the stores are all the same. So they've managed to maintain a similar structure that's going to be a cost factor. But then they data mine people who walk in the door with whatever it is that they need to do. So really what they're doing is collecting data on all of us, on how we use their products, And from the old user or the old person to the new person to the young user, they're collecting data on what it is that you do when you go into the store. And it's not only in the store, it's whatever you do online, whatever you do with all the products that you're using. So Apple's using their software to really understand customer usage and develop relationships over time. Because it's about, remember, it's about trying to find ways to not just have individual transactions, but do something in the long term. So you're looking into more of an intense relationship or a different type of relationship with customer relationship management. It's a strategy that's used everywhere now. And there are different stages for customer relationship management, because not all customers will have equal value. Not are all going to be giving the same amount of return to the organization. So the stages start with just being able to generate awareness of your product to your user, moving from all the stages of how they purchase to what do they repeat purchase, would you consider them an ongoing routine client, and then after that, how do things evolve in terms of them being part of a larger community or part of a larger group of people that enjoy the product, and it becomes something that's kind of a lifestyle forum. Finally, that customer can turn into someone that is a spokesperson for the product that they're purchasing. They can in effect be a public relations factor or an advocate for the product. And if you think of another example, think of, maybe this won't apply to everybody, but think of the store Sephora for women. When you go into the Sephora store, they will give anybody a sample. They'll give you free samples of any perfume, whether it's a $200 perfume or a $25 perfume. They have different types of sales in the stores. They have you come in and do different treatments with their specialists, the women and men that work the floor, and over time they give you points for the amount of purchases that you make, which again gives you free products. So there's a different experience with the store versus other stores that sell the same kind of products. I don't know about you, but I remember family members of mine love going into that store. They always want to go to that store, and they don't even like to shop online through that store. They want to do it in person. So Sephora's done a really good job of attracting customers and trying to build more of a community. And then through their customer relations software, they find out how much you purchase, and they routinely give you benefits for you to continue to purchase. So the different strategies for maintaining your relationships really start with, well, they encompass every different part of the sales process. So what you're looking at is you're looking at things like what are the different types of financial components that you can attract users and repeat users with. For instance, are you providing them with some sort of discount? Are you providing them with ongoing promotions? And it's done automatically through your system software. Are you giving them frequent flyer points, or like the bonus points that I just talked about when women purchase makeup? Do you in fact then create something that has to do with social bonding? In other words, people want to be a part of your community. They find that it's a value to them if you offer them personalized aspects of maybe a membership community. And to finally, something like advanced customization. And those are strategies where you might do something that's for specifically high purchase members. You might have events, you might do other things that create people's willingness to come back into your store or to continue to purchase products. So universities might do things where they would send out unique mailings, find out which parts of their alumni are interested in which particular sectors where they work, offer conventions or meetings at the university to draw people back in, to get them to donate and to get them to have long-term relationships with the organization. So in effect, organizations are looking at the types of things people do on their web pages. They're looking at habits, they're looking at data, which we probably have concerns about privacy. That's another whole class probably. But overall, how often does a customer view a web page? What's their transactions and habits, and how does it affect how they purchase? So one of the issues with retaining customers and developing relationships is to look at the types of quality, the way that you can improve something that you're delivering to your users. And so people are having high expectations of minimal time involved with interacting with your company, but high return. So for instance, we talked in one of our discussion threads about pay apps, mobile pay apps, banking apps, etc. And so a lot of apps are offering a person to come immediately on to your platform on your phone and resolve a problem with you. It's a live person. And that's a way to make sure that you could differentiate yourself from another bank that maybe has a chat bot that's not really helping you, or has a long wait time. So there's, in many ways, there's a lot of products out there, right? And there's less ability to differentiate in terms of the actual tangible product, but the organization can find through software and through other enhancements that they find ways to appeal to what the customer really needs. And so in many ways, they are looking not only at individual customers, but because of the data that they can track, large groups of customers that all have similar needs. And so they can do in some way a mass customization. So regarding value, there are different ways to put value within the transaction. That's part of what the organization does, and it's part of what marketing can do. So for instance, you've got various aspects of your product. You might have the tangible product and service, but then you have add-ons to it that the user's interested in, or supplemental products that happen over time after a person's purchased, say, a car. Do they want extra add-ons for their car? Do they like certain warranties? Do they like certain value-added contracts that you could, for service, that you could introduce to the user? So it's a way to get them to be loyal to you, and it's a way to get them to think of you in a differentiated way, when really there's a lot of other customers or products out there that might be similar, but you're attracting them with value. So it's more than just the selling price. It's basically a transaction that has to go, that covers, or a relationship that covers all the different aspects of the transaction, including the life cycle, the support, the service, etc. So one of the things that organizations need to do is they need to determine during the data collection process and relationship process if there are problems that have come up. What is happening with the relationship with these users? And it's difficult sometimes when you're looking at data to not just interpret what you think the data means immediately. It's something that still requires human thinking and deep reflection, so that your marketing plans are really truly going to be appealing to what perhaps the needs are and the changing needs are from your users. So there's things that the software will do. ERP, Enterprise Resource Process software, is going to look at lots of different things and actually aggregate customers based on different factors and different data that's collected. So they will track basically diagnostically what's happened over time for a user, put people in different user groups. They will look at the expectations or the transactions and the things that the customers have done, their habits, plus how much they've purchased, all at the same time. And in effect, you can build an online persona for your customer this way, of course. You can have a group of customers that are similar personas. You could tweak the personas if you need to, or you could do it for one user depending on, you know, the price of the product that you're selling and the number of users and relationships that you have. So there's a pre-sale, there's a during sale, and there's a post-sale, of course, transaction life that you're going to be evaluating and collecting data on. And then the thing that's great about the software, which probably a lot of you already use in your jobs, is all people and all stakeholders within the process can chime in on what's happening with their particular experiences on an individual client or on a group of clients, whether it's a salesperson, a technical person, a customer service rep. And again, this helps to build the profile that is mass, but maybe mass customized for a particular customer type. You can adjust things. You can adjust your marketing emails and other delivery of information based on the customer's persona and their habits. So in effect, ERP software, and we're going to have a discussion thread on that this week. ERP software does a lot of things in terms of client rating, collecting client data. It looks at all the analytics and tracks basically what the customer is doing individually or groups of customers do. It can calculate basically because of the purchases and the overall transactions that a customer engages in, what's the value to the organization of this particular client. And then it can look at all sorts of sales information, including, people who drop off and come back. So there's lots of different ways to build and support all of the different factors, and then generate different marketing approaches to support those particular users. So in effect, anytime you're signing up for a product newsletter or getting information from a particular website, you're engaging in their way to collect data on you as part of their desire to turn you into a customer and a long-term customer. That's it for this chapter 10. We are in week 6. We have this week and next week of the class to finish out. This week you're going to have a discussion thread. You're going to have an article about people who like tea or coffee. You're going to have a discussion thread on that one. And then finally, because we're getting to the end of the class, we've done a lot of things about situational analysis and SWOTs, and you're going to do that for yourself. You're going to develop a plan to market yourself through one of the activities and assignments this week. So you'll need to look for a job description. You'll need to do a SWOT on yourself. You'll need to kind of analyze what it is that's happening with your skills and determine the strategies that you would incorporate to get that job. And so I look forward to reading everyone's resumes and feedback, and then as we move into week 7, I wish you well in finishing up your signature assignment. Thank you.